Hey, it's a little delay. I wasn't even sure if I was on, but I will not be on late tonight. Um, I wanted to do this because I'm up and it was something that was on my mind. Hey, is that Miss Craig? How are you? So I figured I would go ahead and go for it. This topic is one, I'm looking down at my notes a little bit. But this topic is one that actually a friend of mine brought up, and I was shocked at it that he brought it up. But I said, you know what? I thought about it. So these are going to be my points that I'm making. And I really want to hear from other people what you guys think because I feel like this is one of those topics that whether you're married or you're single, you just think about it sometimes like, does this always happen? And I'm starting to think as more time goes by and the older I get, the more I'm thinking like, man, it just seems like nobody's faithful. But we're going to talk about it. So I'm going to say hey to a couple people and then we're going to get into it. So, hey, Remus. Hey, Nikki. Hey, Ryan. I won't be on long because I can't believe I got on this late, but for some reason I did. So, uh, I know, right, Nikki? Everybody cheats. When he said it, I was like, what? like, um, but then when I thought about it a little more, I can see how he could possibly think this. I sent him the points and he didn't respond. So I want to know what you guys think. So my first of all, let me say this. I don't believe with all of my soul that everybody cheats. So I kind of gave you a little bit of a peek into what I'm going to say. But I do think that you can look at it from one perspective and see it that way. So it just depends on the perspective of what you think. So let me know in the comments if you think everybody cheats or you're not so sure or you think that there's some faithful people out there because I definitely want to know if majority of the people have hope or if people are like, I don't think so. So let me see. The first point was a lot of people lie to themselves, but then try to convince other people that what they're saying is true. So what I mean by that, if you have dated someone that is a player, a lot of times they don't see it that way. Like they don't really see that they're doing anything wrong because they have this perspective that everybody cheats. So they're thinking like, okay, they're lying to themselves thinking that everybody cheats, thinking that everybody is out to get you, thinking that everybody is running games, so on and so forth. So they're lying to themselves so much that they've convinced themselves that that is the truth, that that is the reality, that everybody is basically out to get you before you get them. And that is not the reality. That's just what they've conditioned their mind to believe. So if you say a thing to yourself over and over again, eventually you're going to believe that thing that you say to yourself. That's why I strongly believe in affirmations. Even when you don't believe in what you're saying, if you speak it so many times, eventually you are going to believe it. And eventually that's going to enter into your subconscious and you're going to begin to act the thing out that you believe. So if you have dealt with a person that is a person that cheats on a regular basis, most likely they have convinced themselves that everybody cheats, that everybody is playing games, that everybody is out to get them, that everybody is going to eventually hurt them. And they don't trust anybody and they don't believe anybody. So if you disagree with me, then let me know. And if you agree with me, let me know. Because the reason why I do this live instead of just posting videos and pre-recording myself is because I like to have a conversation with people. So let me know what you think about that first point. That person, the people who do cheat, they lie to themselves trying to convince themselves that they're about to get played. So in order for them not to get played because of their fear that you're about to play them, then they're going to play you first. And I have heard the player and the playettes, the players and the playettes. I have heard them both basically talk this way. And I have heard them both. And if you have heard the same thing, let some people know, because I know a lot of times when you're kind of going through it and you feel like somebody may be cheating on you, you kind of feel like, what am I like? You're just trying to work through it, like trying to logically understand in some cases. If you get past the emotion of it, of being betrayed and being hurt and things like that, you're just trying to work through it. So I think conversations like this, it definitely does help you to have some kind of understanding of why a person would make the moves that they make. I had to stop and say hi to Dr. Tyus. Hi, Cassandra. Hi, Courtney. So done with that first point. If you have feedback on that, let me know in the comments of people lying to themselves and trying to convince other people. And then Ryan says lots of people are insecure because of bad experiences, but not every man or woman cheats. Exactly. So they are insecure, and as a result of their experiences, they're lying to themselves, telling themselves that you, the new person, is going to do the same thing that the old person did. So therefore, since you're going to cheat on them eventually anyway, then they're going to cheat on you first. Or it doesn't even matter. Eventually, they're going to cheat on you. And that sucks. But some people, that's how they think. And then Ryan says that's why people need to heal before they go into relationships. And that's true. But the reality, and this is the harsh reality, people are thinking of themselves more than anyone else. And they're not really worried about how much they're going to hurt that other person by trying to develop an unhealthy relationship with the person. But a thing I wish more people realize is that you're actually hurting yourself when you try to enter into new relationships without healing yourself, because you ultimately are taking yourself through that same cycle, and you're not really leveling up when you don't stop and just check yourself, like, what is going on with me? So if you find yourself, this is a side note, not really about this, but if you find yourself in that same pattern, then you may want to stop and just check yourself and say, what's going on within me to where I keep reproducing the same experiences? And I definitely take my own advice. So I'm definitely one that have experienced the things that I talk about, and I actually do put into practice the things that I'm talking about. So it's not easy to do that. It's not easy. I'm waving at people that have come in. I haven't shouted out, but it's not easy to take a step back and look at yourself and see what responsibility that you have in dealing with people that do cheat. But ultimately, it is partially your responsibility. So that was the first point. I'm going to try to make this as quick as I can tonight. The second one was everyone has good intentions, but people still break promises. So this is the second way that people that think that everybody cheats. Again, I personally don't think that everybody cheats, but some people, the people that cheat, this is how they think that everybody cheats. So they are thinking, again, that promises are meant to be broken. I know my mom, my auntie, people used to say that all the time when I was growing up, that promises are made to be broken. So they'll throw out those promises left and right and have no intention on keeping them. They look at it as, if I keep it, I keep it. If I don't, I don't. It ain't nothing but a thing, and life keeps moving. We just keep moving on. And then people that don't look at it that way, then they're like, my word is my bond kind of people. Then they're very taken aback when they're not treated accordingly. So that makes it really tough, but it is really just a way of thinking. So they have found a way to make it okay to do what they do. Let me see what Cassandra said. What'd she say? That is how some people think. It's unfortunate it's unfortunate that some people feel someone is going to get them. So they cheat first. I've heard that before. Yes, that's what I was just talking about. That they do feel like somebody's going to get them. So they like, well, somebody promised me something and they didn't deliver. So why? I don't really owe it to anybody else because I've gotten played. I've gotten betrayed. I've gotten dragged through the mud. I've gotten slapped around, all of that. And nobody cared about me. So then I'm going to give the same thing back. So when you are dealing with people, then listen to what they say, listen to what they've been through, listen to how they've processed it. Because when you listen to how they've processed it, you can really see the inside of how they're really feeling. If they've actually healed from it, or if they're still in the process of that, or if they're on their way, you can really tell because they really will tell you. I have noticed that sometimes you may not listen to what they say because you want to hear what you want to hear because you may really like them, but they will tell you. And Ryan says it's called self-examination and introspection. So yeah, that work that you need to do on yourself when you're dealing with people like that, especially, and I have definitely been guilty of this, where those kind of people intrigue you. In my case, it's because of really my father and watching him and watching some of the things that the way he used to be, because he is not that way anymore. But watching that, it's like I was intrigued and I was attracted to that because of the daddy issues. So that being said, I still have to go through a lot of that work to see what's really going on with that and a lot of the healing to work through that. Hey, Melvin. Hey, Charles. Oh, Melvin, I got you. Give me a chance. And then Ryan says the problem is selfishness. So yeah, I think most of us are pretty self-centered, generally speaking, even if we don't even catch it. Because I know in my case, sometimes you subconsciously, you're going to think of yourself. It's just kind of an innate thing that we do. And we have to kind of train ourselves to think about how others may feel. But again, what I said earlier, that even if you are thinking of yourself first, you want to heal yourself, because if you're not healing before you're going into these new situations, then you're just creating the same cycle. So that's really self-love. If you actually take some time and think about, how is this going to affect me if I go into this and I have this mindset? If I have the mindset that everybody cheats, if I have the mindset that promises are meant to be broken, if I have the mindset of telling myself things that I know are not true, telling myself that I really want to be with this person and I know good and well I don't want to be with this person. So if you know that you're lying to yourself, that is something that you need to check. Let me see. Okay, so Melvin says you are what you choose. Experience brings growth. Yes. And I do believe that experience is the best teacher. So even though we're talking about this right now, all I'm doing is creating awareness. That is all I'm doing. But you and myself included, we all have to go through experiences to gain wisdom, because it's one thing to know a thing, but it's another thing to act on the thing that you know. So I've definitely been blessed in that area where I'm just very analytical and I can speak about things and I can break it down and it really can make sense. But make no mistake, we are all in this together. So Nikki said, if you're not married or engaged, are you really cheating? That's cute. So yeah, that is a way of thinking. And I think that a lot of people do think that way. And that goes to my first point, that basically you say whatever, you convince yourself of whatever you need to convince yourself of so that you feel good doing what you're doing. So that's a good way to look at it. Like, I know there was a guy I dated right after the divorce, and I remember he said this to me. He was like, I'm single if I'm not married. I'm single if I'm not married. And I took on that school of thought that if I'm not engaged or if I'm not married, I still consider myself single. So when I do say that I've been single for 7 years or whatever, my friends and stuff like, "Did your girl bye?" Like, you that is not really the case, but I look at it as the same way, similar to that. Not exactly, but if you're not married or engaged, I'm single. But if I commit to a person and saying that they're the only person I'm dating, then I do hold true to that. Some people don't even do that. So that's hilarious to me. But again, my first point, they convince themselves of whatever they want to convince themselves of to feel good doing whatever they're doing. I think, hey, Mike, let me see. Melvin says, how can you use a parent's experience? I only use my parents to show me what I didn't want. So I feel like it was one of the things that I didn't want, but for some reason, I love my dad so much. It may not make sense to you, but I'm gonna say what it is. I loved him so much to where I just wanted to be close, and understand people like him, understand him. And now that I'm actually getting close to him, then it's not, I'm kind of working through a lot of it. But before, I feel like I was as close to him, I would be attracted to people that were like him. So where, like, when he was even my age, it's really a weird thing. I don't know if it's a subconscious thing. I'm gonna do some more research on that of why we do that, like why we're attracted to. I feel like my first marriage, I really kind of ended up marrying my mom. This sounds really weird. So my ex-husband, he reminded me so much of my mom. So it's funny how we just kind of get connected to people that are like what's the love that we felt before, the familiar love. That's a different topic, but and I look into that a little more myself, because it's really interesting how we end up being attracted to unhealthy love, because that's what we experienced as a child, or people that have unhealthy habits, because that's what we've been exposed to in the area of love. What is it? Ryan saying married or not? Okay, he's talking to Nikki. Okay, hey Billy. All right. And then Melvin says, I always look to be my own person. Yes. And I think that everybody should always want to grow and develop. And you really got to do a lot of self-work. So I think that's why even with my parents, I'm definitely different. And I'm definitely my own person. But I have had to do a lot of work on myself to be who I am. So I've had to do a lot of research. I've had to do a lot of just training, just trying to understand how I work. And that's really what's helped me to evolve. And not saying I have arrived, because I still got a lot of work to do, but that's definitely has helped me, because ultimately what you end up doing is you fall into those same patterns that your parents fell into. So if you don't really do your work, then it'll just be that same cycle repeating over and over again. Hey, Rachel. So the last point before we wrap this up. And so if you have any questions or anything like that, now is the time. Otherwise you can DM me, but I'll answer it right now if you're not afraid for other people to see it. So the last one is that everybody cheats. This one is not so much about the mindset it's about the matters of the heart. So when it comes to cheating, it starts in the heart. So any of those that do have any of any Christian background or spiritual background, then you probably can understand what I'm saying with this about the matters of the heart. When you think a thing, then it really is like you're 2 steps from doing it. So anything that you that's in your heart is something that eventually you're probably going to act out. So that Some people haven't. Some people haven't acted out on it, but I know most of the things that have been in my heart, and I mean, really deep to the depths of my soul, like I can't help but to act on it. So with that being said, when you, if you are lusting after other people, then eventually you end up acting on it. So I don't necessarily, still don't, I'm still keeping hope alive that not everybody cheats. I'm definitely not a cheater, but I know one thing: if I open myself up to exploring other people, looking at other people, while I'm supposed to be committed to somebody, eventually it'll be, in my heart to cheat, and eventually that could happen. And I think that happens with a lot of people where they may not have intended on cheating, but they just, it was just something that's within their heart, and they deal with lust where they just want, whether it's a car, whether it's a house, whether it's sex, they just have these intense desires, and they go for what they want. Hey, Mr. Net, good to see you online. And then Melvin is talking about a Jezebel spirit. So I'm not sure what that comment was in reference to, because that's a deep thing. So some of the people that are on the live, there's a lot we can go into down a rabbit hole talking about spirits and things like that. But what I was just talking about when I was talking about how you cheating starts in the heart, you really can, maybe that's what he was talking about. You really can get kind of bit by the bug. Not like I'm trying to blame it on anybody else, but sometimes when you deal with people where you like, what in the world? Like, I have done everything that I can do for you. I have everything that you asked, and you still out here cheating. How this work? I don't understand. Sometimes it is within their heart where they are not satisfied. They are not content. So it doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter what you say. It doesn't matter how great you are. It doesn't matter who you are. They still are going to do what they're going to do. So like Ryan just said, everything starts in the mind. So it may have been a thought, and it wasn't a fleeting thought. It was a thought that lingered. So that thought lingered, it crept down into their heart, into their emotions, and then they begin to put that thing into action. Hey, Donnell. It's so good to even see you online. Miss those conversations. Hey, Roderick. So yeah, those are the 3 points. So I'm going to recap. If I don't see any questions, then I'm going to give you the love lesson, and I'm going to be done. And then I'm going to mention the next topic that I want to do. So just to recap, I said earlier that my point was that I don't believe everybody cheats, but I do believe that everybody who cheats has a certain mindset. So I do believe that everybody who cheats, they think that they have lied to themselves to the point that where they have convinced themselves that what they're saying is true. So they've convinced themselves that everybody cheats, right? The next point was everybody, that people that do believe that everybody cheats feel like everyone has good intentions, but promises are meant to be broken. Promises are made and meant to be broken. And then the third thing I talked about was the fact that cheating does start in the heart. So some people who do believe that everybody cheats believe that if you didn't cheat, you wanted to cheat. So I cheated on you, so it's fine. So basically they still convincing themselves that it's all good and it's cool. Let me read some of these comments before I go into the love lesson. So Melvin says it's what you choose. So it's definitely what you choose. But I think that people with the mindset of everybody cheats, I think that they are making a conscious choice to protect themselves by cheating on that person before they get cheated on. So they already have the mindset, everybody cheats. So they're going to cheat on you because they think you're going to play them anyway. And then Ryan says, that's why when you choose, you got to be content with your choice. And I feel like with that one is somewhat debatable, because you could be content with your choice in that moment, and then we're human, so we grow and we change. And I think that's where sometimes it gets a little gray. And then Melvin says, before you get with someone, you have to know as much as you can about them and make them earn your friendship. If you haven't done either, you set yourself up for failure. So very, very true that if you don't do the work on the front end, then you really can cause yourself a world of unnecessary hurt, because people will tell you the truth. Like, they really will, if you just have those honest conversations. Even people that are lying intentionally, you can still, if you talk to them enough, you can still pull out some of their truth. So it's really interesting if you really listen to people. Hey, Julie, I hope you are doing well. I missed the National College days. I don't know if I'm pronouncing your name, but I'm going to try it anyway. Hey, Danier, is that how you say it? I'm sorry if I messed it up. So I don't see any questions or anything like that. So a lot of great comments on this. I thought I was going to get a question or two, so maybe somebody will inbox me, which sometimes that does happen. Some stuff that's going on or whatever, because I think it's kind of embarrassing for some when they're like in the middle of it, to like put it out there. But I think that this was like a helpful conversation to have. One thing I will say that's not really a part of my points or whatever is that I don't personally feel like all men, it's all men cheating, or it's like women cheating. I feel like people end up cheating. Like, I've seen women play the heck out of a dude, and I've seen guys do it. It's like, and the one thing that I did want to say to the fellas is that I feel like the dialogue or the narrative out there is a little unfair, because I have seen women doing the same thing that a lot of men are accused of, but women are so much more vocal. So, I think one of my cousins, actually, he wants to talk about that topic that I'm just talking about as far as accountability with women. So I want to talk about that next. Hey, Torrance. Hey, Karen. So I want to talk about that next. I did have a few people that dropped some comments on some ideas for some upcoming sessions. For those of you that don't know, this is kind of like my brainstorming for my book. So it has been all over the place, because I'm just kind of using this to talk it out as like a pre-writing phase for next year when I'm going to be writing the Love Lessons book. But right now, I'm just really curious as to, some of the issues that people are going through now. And then some of the solutions. So I'm just kind of throwing some stuff out there just to kind of see what you guys find useful, what you guys find valuable. And I'm finding that doing these live videos that I do have a theme. So with this, the love lesson is loving yourself enough to be honest with yourself. And what I'll say to that, and Cassandra, I see your comments, so I'm going to definitely, so what I would say about loving yourself, what I have found with every video or every topic that I do, it all comes back to you. So whether you're single or whether you're married, this is targeting single people. But even if you're married and you're dealing with some of the issues that single people have to deal with on an everyday basis, when you are really loving yourselves, you are honest with yourself. So you're not lying to yourself about what you need, about what you want, about anything that is going to deter your progress from being successful in love. you are not going to hold yourself back when you truly love yourself. So you're going to do the work. You're going to do the healing, go through the process, which is not fun. I can't say that it's fun, but when you come out on the other side, you do feel that sense of freedom, and you feel a feeling that you have never felt before. So I can say that much, that you feel so happy with yourself, happier than you've ever felt. So again, loving yourself enough to be honest with yourself and to be true to you. So if you are one of those people that believe that everybody cheats, then why don't you start being true to you? Why don't you start telling yourself the truth? Why don't you start being honest to yourself? Why don't you start keeping promises to yourself? Because once you can do it with you, then you can do it with somebody else. If you can't even be true to you, how are you going to be faithful to anybody else? And that is the bottom line to all of this. So I hope that some of you found value in this. I'm going to read Cassandra's comment, and if nobody else has anything else to say, hey, Jerome, then we're going to wrap this up, and I'll tell you about my next topic. So Cassandra, she says, I feel it's unfair as well when I was talking about how it's basically the double standard between women and men, where women are always talking about how we still got the all men are dogs dialogue going. And I think that's unfair. It's like saying men are too weak to not cheat. There are strong men out there. And that's exactly it, because it is a weak move to not be able to just be honest with a person. So if you are not feeling them in any way, so whether it's physically, like you don't like how they look anymore, you don't like what they do in the bedroom anymore, you don't like how they treating you, how they touching you, what they're doing for you, what they're not doing for you, whatever it is, and you don't like it, then be man enough or woman enough to say what it is. And that's what I was saying, loving yourself, to be honest with yourself. But some people are not honest with themselves. So how are they going to be honest with anybody else? They're not even telling themselves the truth about what they like about themselves or about what makes them happy. And I've definitely been guilty of that, just struggling with accepting the reality of what I want and what I need. Like, I've definitely been guilty of that. So no judgment for anybody that feel that way. Kyra, most people aren't what? And I'm going to say good night if I don't see any more comments or questions or anything. Hey, Shatoya. Good to see you virtually. But okay. So the next topic, and this is the one that my cousin's like, he's been really wanting, of why women think they're always right. So he's just, from his perspective, is he feels like women are not accountable. So he feels like women, like, you can try to do everything that you know to do, and a woman is still not going to admit that she is wrong. So I don't know what women think about that one. I got some thoughts on it. So I'm going to share my thoughts on that probably next week. I haven't nailed down a day. So if one of you guys want to get on that live with me, then let me know, because it's always nice to have the masculine energy, especially when I'm talking about why women think they're always right. Sometimes we are, but I'm not going to be biased about that. I'm not going to be biased about it. And we're going to talk about it, and we're going to have an open and honest conversation about it. Because Ryan, you in? Okay, inbox me and I know you're serious. Because I definitely want to hear the male point of view on this, because I know he has been telling me, my cousin, he has been repeating from the beginning when I started doing the lives at the beginning of the year. He has basically been wanting to talk about this. Like, why is it that women, like in arguments, it's like they always got to be right? And why is it that women will not be accountable for the stuff that they do wrong? So a man, we're basically giving them all of the business, all of the things. And when it turns back around on us, then we're like, and I definitely have been guilty of that, being very quiet um, when things have been turned around. Not recently, but I think definitely when I back in the day, and I'll tell you why. For some of you guys that have been wondering. So Kyra says, I don't always think I'm right. I feel like it's more likely to happen with males than us. Okay. So I don't know what you guys think about this. I don't know, because I feel like it's a good debate, but I'm sharing it from that perspective is because that was the perspective that it was given to me. Like that's how they put it to me. They put it to me like why women always feel like they're right. So I'm like, why women are not held accountable. And there, I'm seeing a lot of like single dads. I'm seeing a lot of dads that are like holding it down. I'm seeing a lot of good men out here. I've talked to a lot of good men. I've dated a lot of good men as far as, so I personally don't have, I've had maybe one or two, honestly, not really a lot of people that has just been a hot mess. I probably spent too much time with the one or two, but most guys have really been pretty accountable because I will give it to you. Like as far as this is what, this is how I feel about this, and this. So most guys have been pretty accountable. So I'm going to tell you what I think, what I came up with. I feel like we don't. Oh, Kyra said, I feel like we don't even have a voice with a lot of males. So I don't know what you guys think about that. My mouth is obviously big because I'm on live all the time talking. So you have to say a little more about that. Because I've always felt like I had a voice with anybody. There was one guy, and that did not last long, where I felt like there was one that was like, it was extreme case of it, where there was like no compromise. But I think it was because he was a literal boss. Like he was like a VP of a department and and he just used to people just listening to everything he had to say. So, and basically doing things his way. So that was not going to work for me. So Ryan says, had a woman told me already, she is always right. Wow. Up to Thursday. Are you talking about the live, Ryan? We'll talk. Let's inbox each other and figure it out. Kyra says, I feel like females don't hold themselves accountable for for tolerating a lot of things they shouldn't, as far as when it comes to accountability. Now that tolerating thing, that hit hard. That's a big thing with coaching. When I am coaching, one of the thought-provoking questions that I may ask at times is, what are you tolerating? So that's a good one. So thank you, Kyra, for that. So anybody, if that was for you, then take that. What are you tolerating? And then, yes. Yeah, so this is going to be a good one. So we'll figure out what day we're going to do this, and we'll talk about it because I think that we need more of that. We need more communication, and we need more dialogue between men and women instead of just beating each other up and saying, oh, well, all women do this and all men do this. It's not about that. It's about us coming together and having a conversation and coming to an agreement. Like, it's okay to disagree at times, but when you do not, like Kyra's saying, if one party doesn't have a voice, then that's when there's a problem, because you don't really understand what's going on. So let's understand what's going on between us, and let's get into some things. And then this is the last comment, and then we'll wrap it up because it's getting late. So Kyra says, we have a voice literally, but how much is it really being heard? how much of it matters? Now, ooh, that was a loaded question. So, I think with that one, it depends on the person, because I think that when it comes to some people, they will pretend to listen, but they're really not listening. And some people don't even have the active listening skills to do what women are requesting them to do. So they're willing to learn, but sometimes we're holding people on a pedestal and we feel like they should know this, they should know that. But sometimes people are trying to develop and they're trying to work through things, and we have to be patient with people as they grow and develop. And sometimes they're not even ready to hear what we have to say. Sometimes in my case, I'm so analytical to where I have thought about the thing upside down, left and right, everywhere. I've thought about it so much more than this guy has even thought about it. So I'm wanting to talk about something before he's ready to talk about it. So then that's another issue that we have when we're ready to talk about something and they're not ready to talk about it, and we don't want to wait until the time is right. So Cassandra says, I can't help but read your comments when I see them right away. So when they die, I'll stop, or my phone. So Cassandra says, once power is given up, it's never given back. It has to be taken. Some tolerate thinking eventually that power will be given back. Big mistake. Or she didn't say big mistake. I added that. So that was a loaded comment as well. That would be a whole conversation. Some tolerate thinking eventually that power will be given back. I feel like no one can take your power. It's up to you to stand in your power. And at any given moment, you can choose to stand in your power. It's like, I think that that's a limited belief to think that anyone has power over you and that they can do something to you. It's really you allowing different things. And Kyra said, I never stereotype. I don't believe in double standards. Okay. We can communicate until the end of time, but if there's no understanding, yes, escape is what I'm thinking right now. I would pull out the mic, but I kind of want to sing. What I need is understanding, but I don't think y'all ready for that. Yes, Ryan, exactly. A lot of times it's how you're approached. And I've definitely been guilty of not approaching a man at the right time, at the right place. I have not, with the right energy. Energy is huge. So, and then said I had the nerve to say I had the right energy. So interesting. Hey, Deshaun. And then Ryan says, to what we're talking about power, maybe you just give up your power. Yes, that's exactly what I believe, is that sometimes we give away our power and then we get mad at this other person because we feel like they're running with it and they standing in their power and they're doing what they need to do, but we're mad because they're doing what they need to do with their power. But all we got to do is love ourselves enough to stand in our power and to stand in our truth, and it'll be fine. And Kyra says, we can communicate until the end of time, but if there is no understanding, not everyone has the mental capacity nor substance in order to be able to truly relate. Yeah, sometimes understanding can be limited, but I feel like if you are the person that's dealing with the person that has limited understanding, then it's still ultimately your responsibility to evaluate that situation and discern that situation and make moves accordingly. Yes, Ryan, attitude is a lot. And I think women, sometimes we definitely need to be held accountable for our attitudes, because I definitely can roll my eyes at times without even noticing. So I've definitely been guilty of that. So, okay, so I saw some people come on a little later, so maybe you can replay it. I have still got that YouTube channel that I have not been uploading to, but I will eventually. Hey, Todd. Hey, Elliot. Thanks for coming on. But we had a great conversation, lasted longer. Thank you for all the comments. Even if you're watching a replay, then definitely comment because I definitely read every single one of them. And then if you have ideas, comment your ideas, or you can inbox me. And I still have my channel for some of my old ones that I've done, but I definitely in my free time I'll go ahead and upload some newer ones. But yeah, this was really fun, and we'll do another talk next week. And we are going to talk about why women think they're always right. So this is going to be juicy. So until next time, always remember that no matter what you've been through, there's still more in you. And we'll talk soon. Goodbye, loves. Mwah.